Are we able to sue the sun? No, I don't mean the newspaper here in the UK. I mean the literal sun. Look at me. It's so warm, I have to wear a vest. And it says Sting on it. And these morons are going to think I mean Sting the wrestler. And of course I'm talking about Sting from the Police, the greatest musician of our time. What's that? We're live. Hello and welcome to Kayfabe News' Raw Review. My name is Flippin' Marks and we have just finished a 3-hour emotional joyride when it comes to WWE's Monday show. And here I am to give you everything you need when it does indeed come to Monday Night Raw. We will start with some disturbing news, and that is that the crowd last night, who were at the Performance Center for the first time in months, rushed the ring during the main event between Bobby Lashley, MVP, and the Street Profits, and actually tried to attack both Drew McIntyre as well as Bobby Lashley. Now, we have used our great reach here at Kayfabe News to figure out and distinguish who indeed was in that crowd, and we cut to our reporter, Harry Kanrana, who's going to give you an update. Thank you very much, Flippin'. Yes, I have an exclusive report about who was actually ringside and in the crowd when it comes to Raw last night. For starters, we have Ace Guy, who I've been told is a distant relative of Just Incredible. We also had Horrific, who is related in some fashion to Terrorizing. And most excitedly, we also had Flash Jazz, who is a cousin of the legend known as Flash Funk. Obviously, we have our scouts trying to find more. We're 99% sure at least 75% of the crowd was also related to The Rock, because that seems to be how WWE trains wrestlers up these days. But when we have more, we promise the Kayfabe News audience will also have more. Back to you, Flippin'. Thank you very much, Harry. And again, if you keep your eyes on Kayfabe News this week, we will have the entire list of now frankly criminals who I'm sure are being charged at a local police unit center at this time. In other very strange news on Raw, or more specifically SmackDown, AJ Styles was traded from the red brand to the blue brand a few days ago, and he shall now be plying his trades on Friday nights. We were told then that a huge name was going to be coming the other way, and yet in 180 minutes of television, WWE didn't even mention this once. I mean, they found the time to film the Street Profits playing golf with the Viking Raiders, which last time I checked was not professional wrestling. Also, the Viking Raiders have no idea about the sport of kings, so they're a couple of buffoons, but let's not worry about it. Once again, I have used the vast money and vast power that Kayfabe News has to try and figure out who is going to make the jump from SmackDown and Raw in order to balance out these rosters. The biggest name of all, of course, would be one Shane McMahon. Now, we haven't seen Shane on TV for a matter of months, and I find that quite upsetting, because there was a time when he would literally be featured on every minute of WWE TV. And quite frankly, World Wrestling Entertainment hasn't been the same since he left. I mean, who's gonna jump off stuff if not for Shane McMahon? You tell me that. Have you seen anybody jump off a large platform in the last 6 months or so? No, you have not, because Shane McMahon hasn't been here. So our rumors tell us that it will be Shane McMahon appearing on Raw, and in a 32-segment show, he will appear in 29 segments. Next up is his sister Stephanie McMahon for the same reasons. I would like Stephanie McMahon back on my television. You would like Stephanie McMahon back on your television. I mean, she's basically in charge of the company. On that note, where is Vince McMahon? He turned up for the Triple H ceremony a few weeks ago, and now he's gone again. The McMahon family is meant to be steering the ship. They're meant to be driving the boat. They're meant to be in front of the train, and yet we haven't seen them in a long time, and nobody even seems worried. In fact, sometimes I see tweets going, I'm so glad they're not on television. That is a disgrace. That is horrendous. You don't care about the company, and if I ever meet you, I am gonna punch you right in your do-rag. The next person on this list is Rod McMahon, the estranged brother of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Yes, he's real. Yes, you're going to Google it. I am saying that Rod McMahon will be the trade for the phenomenal AJ Styles. Aurora Rose Levesque is also a strong candidate, and if you are now scratching your head, yes, that is the daughter of one Hunter Hearst Helmsley. But as we all know, Triple H is the most important entity in the history of this industry, and therefore his daughter automatically goes into number 2 place, and therefore is bigger and more crucial than, again, AJ Styles. And finally, we have The Rock. I mean, why the hell not? He's on SmackDown. He turned up for one episode, like the lightweight that he is. No work ethic with that man whatsoever. But I say that The Rock should now finally come back to Raw and actually do his damn job. I mean, what is he doing? What is he? He comes up on one show. Before that, we hadn't seen him in years. Had that match with John Cena, twice in a lifetime. Incredible. I'll give him that. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. We also now know that Nia Jax is the #1 contender for Asuka's Raw Women's Championship. And this was an absolute turnaround on Raw, because despite losing 2 matches in a row to Shayna Baszler didn't bother to turn up for her job, whereas Natalya snuck into the match along with Charlotte Flair. Now, I can understand why Charlotte Flair was there. She's been appearing on Raw, she's been appearing on SmackDown, and she has been appearing on NXT, as well as being the NXT champion. But this match alone let us know what the superior brands are, and that is Raw and SmackDown. Because does Charlotte Flair win on SmackDown? No. Does Charlotte Flair win on Raw? No, she lost here, but she will win on NXT, and that just kind of sums it up. So the new order, when it does come to importance of the brands, is 1 and 2, Raw and SmackDown. They're on the same pegging, so joint first, and then way down in 72nd is NXT, which we all know is just watched by basement dwellers. I would also like to send out a very warm and heartfelt message to the Hart family. During a planned interview segment on last night's Raw, Natty felt the need to take a phone call, and we saw a public row between her and her husband, TJ. I believe that's his real name, so I guess I'll call him Tej. But he seems to be very upset that she destroyed Kevin Owens' Kevin Owens Show set 7 days ago, and while Natalya did apologize to Kevin Owens at the start of this week's Raw whilst wearing bunny ears, I feel like it's important to point that out. Clearly this has affected their marriage, and I hope we're not going to see 2 divorces in the near future, because also Bobby Lashley has teamed with MVP, and MVP and Lana fell out on 2 different occasions last night. In fact, MVP wouldn't even say one word to the former ravishing Russian. Maybe it is because of her ties to the former Soviet Union. And before we go, it is a huge congratulations to Apollo Crews, who won the US Championship on Raw, the first belt he's won since joining WWE, especially because before this, he had done a grand total of nothing. I mean, do you remember when he was in Titus Worldwide? Of course you don't. It was such a surprise though, especially because Andrade has held that title for over 150 days, and again, Apollo has never won squat, that I thought we should go back through some of the greatest title changes or title shock changes over the last 20 or so years. And straight in at #1 is when David Arquette won the World Championship Wrestling title. If you're young and you won't remember that, but it was just run by a bunch of morons down in the South of America. But it's still something so incredible. I mean, David Arquette, who was a trained actor, had been in movies like Scream, was able to transition across to the wrestling world and prove that he had so much skill that he got to the very top spot and came the champion. I mean, think of the other people that have held that belt. Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Sting. Again, not this Sting. And David Arquette is a name we can say as well. One day I hope to meet that man and shake his hand. In at #2 is yet another success story, and that is for the same championship, the WCW title, when Vince Russo was able to copy this same feat. And again, this is like me winning the WCW title. He was a guy behind the scenes, being a producer and being a manager of who knows what, and he decided, no, I am going to try and become a professional wrestler, and he did, and he won the WCW title. I think it gives hope to all, and I say, well done, bro, you did it. Again, I continue on this trend with our second reference to Vince McMahon this evening, who also won the WWE title, and he never even lost it. He decided to give it up, which means he remains undefeated 21 years after it happened. And he also won the ECW championship, where he did, very interestingly, wear a do-rag, and I've already told you what I'm going to do to yours. Jinder Mahal comes in at #4, and I'll never get over it. Jinder Mahal is someone that deserves all our respect and deserves all our praise. He was nothing but an opening guy. He was like bottom of the barrel. He couldn't even win a basic championship. He couldn't even buy a win. Let's face it, he was losing to everybody and then he was able to beat Randy Orton, one of the greatest superstars we know, for the WWE title. Then he got himself a couple of friends. It was a fascinating and wonderful time in WWE, and I'm not ashamed to say, I miss it greatly. Next up is the frankly spectacular WrestleMania 9, when after he'd already competed in one match with his friend Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and yes, that is his official name on his birth certificate, Hulk Hogan made a proper return to the then WWF and avenged Bret Hart seconds after he'd lost when he dropped the old leg onto Yokozuna and became the WWF champion. I mean, we hadn't seen Hogan for months before this, but it just goes to show, when you're waving the red and yellow, you better be ready, fella. And we bring in Hulk Hogan once again when he was able to move to WCW, unfortunately on the losing end this time, when he lost after a single finger poke from Kevin Nash. And I see sometimes people getting confused about this, but if I was 7'1" and weighed what big sexy weighed, I would totally believe also that I'd be able to beat someone with the power of my finger. And besides, we have all the evidence we need. Hulk Hogan went down, and he was so elated afterwards for his friend, they embraced and they reformed the NWO. And we finish with the greatest title change, shocking title change in wrestling history, which is when Bret Hart submitted to his own move, the sharpshooter, courtesy of one Shawn Michaels. And Vince McMahon very kindly was at ringside to view this. Bret Hart took the loss, absolutely terrible. We all remember that, with his finger writing in the sky and the spit and breaking the tables. But hopefully since then he's learned to be a better loser. Maybe he could talk to Andrade, who showed a similar behavioral route last night on Raw. And there you go, you are up to date with Monday Night Raw, some crazy goings on. And we also here at Kayfabe News hope that Liv Morgan's alright after she told us she has no self-worth. Don't worry about it, Liv, we all understand that. Just leave a nasty comment on the internet and make yourself feel better that way. Please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to Kayfabe News, because if you don't, I'm gonna wait until you're asleep and steal your car. My name is Flippin' Marks. I will see you soon.